And welcome. My name is Frank McClellan. I'm the director of the Saratoga County Veteran Service Agency, and I want to thank you all for being here for our honor deceased veteran ceremony. If you all could please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance and remain standing for our invocation by our honorary chaplain and Korean War veteran, Paul O'Keefe. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, liberty, justice for all.
Our Supreme Commander in heaven, we thank you once again for giving us this day to honor and pay tribute to our Saratoga County deceased veteran of the month. September's veteran is Robert C. Shaw, a World War II Navy veteran from the town of Moreau. O God, by whose mercy the faithful departed find rest, look kindly on our deceased veteran, Robert C. Shaw, and grant that through the passion, death, and resurrection of your Son, he may share in the joy of your heavenly kingdom and rejoice in you with your saints forever. We ask this through Christ our Lord. Amen. Thank you.
Thank you, Chaplain. Please be seated, folks. Ladies and gentlemen, on behalf of the Board of Supervisors, I'd like to welcome you to our ceremony honoring our deceased veterans. This month's ceremony is dedicated to a Navy veteran from World War II, Robert C. Shaw from the town of Moreau. We are proud of this tradition of recognizing our veterans and their families for serving their country and their community, and I'd like to thank Robert's family and friends for being here with us today. Bob was born on January 4th, 1924 to parents Aubrey and Tressa Shaw, and he graduated from South Glens Falls High School in 1942. On August 7th, 1943, Bob entered the United States Navy. He would be assigned to Naval Training Station in Sampson, New York, and then sent to the submarine base in New London, Connecticut, where he would be assigned to the newly laid down USS Tigrone, a Tench-class submarine aptly named for the tiger shark. The Tigrone was launched on 20 July 1944 and commissioned officially on 25 October 1944. A commissioning party was held at the Greenmore Inn in Kittery, Maine on October 20th, 1944, and the program from the event describes what seemed to have been one heck of a party. And I have a copy of it here provided to us by the family. I thought this was great. Bob was listed in the program as a member of the ship's company. And I'd just like to highlight the timeline, because even though these folks were about to head off into a very dangerous undertaking, they certainly celebrated here. The program started at 2000 hours, which is 8 p.m. for those that don't know. And that was chow. At 2100 to 2115, ship's company pictures. 2115 to 2300 hours, there was dancing, and in parentheses it says drinking. So I thought that was great. At 2300 hours, 11 p.m. to 2400 hours were dance contests with prizes. And at this is the best part, 2400 hours to dawn, open house, and in parentheses, you are on your own. So it looks like they had a great commissioning party. Such a really cool thing to have such a historic document on the laying down of this submarine. And I'd like to tell you a little bit about the history of his boat. As they know, in the Navy, ships are the ships on land, but when they're submarines and they go under, they're referred to as boats. And Saratoga County has a rich connection to the Submariners with the base over in West Milton. So also a very fitting honor to actually talk about one of the original World War II heroes here. And I like to read a little bit from the online history of the Tigrone. The boat completed fitting out in mid-November 1944 and conducted training out of Portsmouth, New Hampshire and New London, Connecticut before departing the submarine base at New London on the last day of 1944. After 10 days of training at the Fleet Sound School, the new submarine got underway on 16 January. Steaming via the Canal Zone, she paused for a week of training off of Panama, then set her course for Hawaii, conducting extensive practice approach exercises with attack transport Riverside en route. On the 16th of February, she arrived at Pearl Harbor to prepare for her first war patrol. On the 9th of March, she departed Oahu and steamed westward, arriving at Guam on the 19th of March. After a 3-day pause to repair a main engine, she got underway on 21 March in company with submarines Bullhead and Blackfish. Joined by the Seahorse, the submarines set their course for the South China Sea, where they formed a scouting line in hopes of intercepting Japanese shipping. The first patrol was eventful and filled with a couple of close calls from enemy aircraft bombing, as well as a near miss with a torpedo fired just barely evading a direct hit. In April of 1945, the crew would be tasked with bombarding targets on Bataan, and upon completion of that mission, she ended her first war patrol at Guam on the 24th of April, 1945. Tigrone's second patrol would begin in mid-May 1945, arriving in the Nanpo Islands just south of mainland Japan on the 25th of May. The next several days would prove to be most eventful. Here, on the same day, the crew would rescue a downed pilot from the 19th Fighter Command based off of Iwo Jima. Just 2 days later, the Tigrone would encounter a Japanese ship and would attack that ship with heavy machine gun fire, ultimately disabling it and setting it afire. This all took place during a pretty heavy storm in 30-foot seas, and the ship would be left to burn in those high seas. Due to engine and radar troubles, she would remain on lifeguard duty close to the islands. However, the crew would prove to be highly successful in search and rescue operations, saving the lives of 23 men in the Philippine Sea, 16 passengers and crew of a downed seaplane. 28 Army aviators were plucked from 30-foot seas near Iwo Jima, and a downed fighter pilot who spent just 6 minutes in the water after parachuting from his plane. This patrol ended on July 3rd with the delivering of 30 rescued air crew members to Safe Harbor. Her third and final patrol would begin out of Guam on July 31st, 1945, patrolling nearer and nearer Honshu as American planes made strikes on Tokyo and other cities of the Japanese homeland. Tigrone encountered increasing numbers of Japanese search planes. On 11 August, the first reports of Japan's surrender were received, but for 2 more days, she continued her patrols, approaching within 50 miles of the shore of Sagami-Wan as she pursued lifeguard duties. On the 13th of August, with Navy pilots helping to spot targets, she bombarded Mikimoto Island, scoring 11 hits on a radio station and a lighthouse tower. The submarine claimed this action as the final bombardment of the war. On 14 August, Tigrone rescued another aviator who had been forced to parachute from his plane. On the 15th of August, she received orders to cease all attacks, and the next day, the official statement of Japan's surrender was published. She patrolled off the east coast of Japan as far north as Sendai and Todosaki. Then on the 30th of August, she rendezvoused with what was known as Benny's Peacemakers, and on the last day of August, she moored in Tokyo Bay. Just days later, she departed Tokyo on the 2nd of September and made her way via Pearl Harbor, Hawaii, in the Canal Zone to New London, Connecticut, arriving there in early of October of 45. Seaman First Class Robert Shaw would separate from the service just in time for Christmas of 1945 on the 21st of December back at Sampson, New York at the U.S. Navy Separation Center. It was probably one heck of a Christmas to celebrate for him, I'm sure. For his service, Bob would be awarded the American Campaign Medal, the Asiatic Pacific Campaign Medal, and the World War II Victory Medal. And today, we honor Robert Shaw as a hero and a member of the greatest generation for his service and for his life lived as a strong member of the community. And at this time, I'd like to introduce, he's doing double duty today as the supervisor for the town of Monroe, but also our chairman of the Board of Supervisors, Supervisor Todd Kuznier. Sir.
Thank you very much, Frank, and we appreciate all the hard work you do on behalf of the county's veterans. What he didn't tell you, and we like to point out, is Saratoga County is one of the few counties that has a legislative committee dedicated to Veterans Affairs. And Frank works closely with our chairman, who could not be here today. He had a family emergency, Tom Richardson, and he does send his regards, so he is not with us. I'm also pleased to be joined by Supervisor Kanowski over on my right, and also up here on my left, we have our county clerk, Craig Hayner. We have District Attorney Karen Hagin, and on my right, we have Senator Daphne Jordan. We have representative from Congresswoman Elise Stefanik's office, and also Lydia Hoffman, who is with Carrie Warner's office. So thank you for being here today. First of all, welcome to the Saratoga County Board of Supervisors meeting room. One of the things that I really enjoy, and it's so special, is that as chairman of the board, on behalf of the County Board of Supervisors, I get to recognize a deceased veteran each and every month. Today is especially special to me because this is the first deceased veteran that I have recognized from the town of Monroe. So I'm very pleased to be in this position and be able to do that. So with that, the town of Monroe offered a proclamation, which I have, and I'll be providing to you. But also the county has under my pen, provided a proclamation recognizing Robert C. Shaw. And I would like to read it in its entirety for everyone to have it included in the county's records. And I'll begin with, whereas the freedom, security, and prosperity that the American people have enjoyed throughout the history of our nation have been preserved due to the heroism and sacrifice of the men and women who have served in our armed forces. And whereas Robert C. Shaw was a Saratoga County resident who proudly served our country and our county in the armed services of the United States. And whereas Robert C. Shaw of the town of Monroe entered into the United States Navy during World War II, serving from August 7th, 1943 through December 21st, 1945, separating at the rank of Seaman First class. And whereas throughout his career, Bob served as a torpedoman's mate on the USS Tigrone, a Tench-class submarine, and the US Tigrone arrived at Pearl Harbor on February 16th, 1945, to prepare for their first war patrol, then to Guam, where they would repair their main engine. Bob continued with the USS Tigrone as they joined several other ships and headed for the South China Sea, where they formed a scouting line to intercept Japanese shipping. USS Tigrone conducted lifeguard duties off the shores of Hainan until the surrender of Japan in August of 1945. And whereas Robert C. Shaw was awarded the World War II Victory Medal, the American Campaign Medal, and the Asiatic Pacific Campaign Medal, and whereas following his discharge, Bob purchased the Palmer Ridge Farm, where he grew his first farm and later bought and moved to the Selfridge Road Farm. Over the years, Bob owned and operated several properties and businesses, including the Stagecoach Inn, the Crossroads, the Wilton General Store, and most recently the Shaw Fuel Company, which is a pillar of our businesses in our commercial corridor. And we were just thrilled when he decided to relocate on the Route 9 corridor. And that business is still in operation today. And whereas Bob was active in his community by organizing a 4-H club for local children, was a member of the Optimist Club, and a lifelong member of the Freemasons, And whereas Robert C. Shaw risked his life in the defense of the principles of freedom and democracy for which our nation stands, and it is fitting that the heroic service and sacrifice of Robert C. Shaw for his nation and community be recognized and remembered, and his memory be honored. Now therefore be it proclaimed that the 22nd day of September 2022 is hereby dedicated to the memory of Robert C. Shaw in grateful recognition by the Saratoga County Board of Supervisors on behalf of all the citizens of the county for the service and sacrifice made by him for his country. In witness thereof, I have hereunto set my hand and affixed the seal of the Saratoga County Board of Supervisors this 22nd day of September 2022. So I'd like a round of applause for this recognition. And before I ask the family to come forward to receive that, we will also be presenting the Saratoga County World War II medal. And we do have a challenge coin that has the county seal on one side and the 5 branches, the military service on the back side, which I just learned we'll have to be updating that because now we have a SpaceX force, correct? So, so it's current as of what we have available today. So if the family would come forward, I'd like to present you with the proclamations. So this one is from the town of Monroe. And if you turn around, we'll get you a picture to go with it. How's that? Right on the back side. And you can hold the one for Saratoga County.
There you go. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. At this time, I'd like to introduce you all our Saratoga County Clerk, Craig Hayner.
Thank you so much, Frank. It's truly an honor to be here with you today and join you in honoring Mr. Shaw's life. And I would like to start off by really thanking Frank and his team who do a tremendous job month after month in doing the research, talking to the family and getting to know the veteran that's going to be honored. And you really do get a snapshot of his life. And it was really, truly incredible to read through the biography. I know it doesn't spell out everything that in his life that he did, but to serve in World War II and all the dangers that he faced, come home, start a family, be an entrepreneur, get involved with the youth, with 4-H and all those things. It just, to me, really is the epitome of why we honor a person each month, because it really is the spirit of American exceptionalism. His life work in service to others is really American exceptionalism. And so with that, I'm just so grateful to see such a great turnout today to honor his life. And it's an honor to be with all these individuals as well to do that. I'd like to just read a commemoration that I wrote, especially for your family. On this 22nd day of September 2022, we commemorate and honor the life and military service of Robert C. Shaw. Robert's legacy is woven into the fabric of American exceptionalism, reflecting a selfless dedication in service to others, not only for his country, but also his community. 246 years ago, our nation was founded upon the principles of freedom and liberty, as provided us through our God-given, unalienable rights. Ever since that time, each generation has had the responsibility to pass that on to the next generation. And obviously, Mr. Shaw did that as well. We know that oftentimes tremendous sacrifices have been made to uphold and support these principles that we all hold dear as Americans. For his service to our country and for doing his part to uphold our most treasured values, we are grateful to honor Robert Shaw's military career and life here in Saratoga County. Thank you again for allowing us to honor him today, and we are really grateful. Thank you.
Thank you. I'd like to introduce to you all now our Saratoga County District Attorney, Karen Hagin.
So I'm told I have one line or joke, and so you'll all get to laugh and they'll just groan behind me. But I come and avoid the podium because it's bigger than I am. So I've come to talk to you here and to be glad to join with all of my fellow colleagues behind me in honoring Mr. Shaw. As County Clerk Hayner pointed out, we are so very honored to remember and reflect upon the lives of those who have served our military, because we are all the beneficiaries of those years of dedication, of sacrifice, and of service. In whatever capacity, in whatever place, each and every veteran has placed their lives above that of an individual sacrifice for the greater good of our country. And we are all the beneficiaries of that because of the freedoms that we experience every day in our lives. As Frank read about the ship, the boat traveling, I had to kind of try and think about being in a small sub, probably for the first time in his life, traveling such amazing distances, facing certain conflicts, which clearly they did, in such a confined space, not knowing what else is going on in the world. And to do that with the dedication and commitment really touches my heart, that we get to live in the year 2022 because men and women have done that throughout the ages in the United States. And so I've written a small just note for you to share at a time after the ceremony, but to say thank you, because it wasn't just his service that Mr. Shaw gave as a dedication to our community, but all the work that he did subsequently as a 4-H'er for 10 years. I say thank you because his life touched other people's lives who kept 4-H going. And that has made a difference, not just in the town of Moreau, but the county of Saratoga in the United States. And so thank you for letting us get a chance to honor him today. Okay.
Thank you. Assemblywoman Carrie Warner couldn't be here with us today, but she is represented by Lydia Hoffman, who would like to say a few words and make a presentation.
I'm always kind of secretly happy when Carrie can't come to these things. She loves them, but I do too, because it's an opportunity to learn interesting things about fascinating lives that we wouldn't even know were in our midst. And it's also moving. Frank talked a lot about the boat, and I got the information about Mr. Shaw and I started reading it, and I thought it was a typo. The Tench, what is that? I thought it was 10th or something. So I did a little looking into it, and they must have taken good care of that thing, because that was the last, the Tigrone, am I saying that correctly? That was the last boat in that class to be decommissioned in 1975. So down the rabbit hole I went. Any rate, I think Mr. Shaw's life is just fascinating, all these entrepreneurial things he undertook, but most remarkable is this family. Look at the size of this family. He had a lot of descendants, and most notable, so many of you live right around here. I wish I could do that with my family. At any rate, congratulations to this honor. Congratulations on a life well lived. And thank you for being here today.
Thank you, Lydia. I'd now like to introduce representing the 43rd Senate District, Senator Daphne Jordan.
Good afternoon. It really is an honor for me to be here today to recognize and to honor Seaman First Class Robert C. Shaw. Most of what I would say has been said, but I'll add just a little bit to it. I also looked up about the USS Tigrone because I read that it was a submarine and didn't know what a Tench-class submarine was. And it was interesting to me to find out that that was the last submarine that left Japan or the seas around there to go back home. So he was one of the last ones to leave in that sub. I also looked up, I wanted to know exactly what a torpedoman's mate does. And he had a very responsible position, almost scary, because he was responsible for the safe loading and unloading and shipping and storage, and even to perform maintenance on the torpedoes. So that is a job that you wouldn't just give to anybody, but a very responsible person. So he had quite a job there. So I thank him for his service, but it also struck me, he's a person I would have loved to have sat down with and just talked about all of his businesses and that entrepreneurial spirit he had. Maybe he was thinking about all of this while he was in the submarine with not much, not much else to do except when they were called into heroic action. But to have had, looking at the list here, the Stagecoach Inn, the Crossroads, most notably known for Shaw Fuel and Propane, the General Store in Wilton, Palmer Ridge Farm, Selfridge Road Farm. That's like, wow. And so to his wife, Janet, it takes a strong woman to be able to handle a strong man and let him do all of that. He must have been just a whirlwind of activity all the time. So it's fascinating to me. I wish I knew him. And then also what he did for his community. And it's been mentioned about his organizing the 4-H club. So he touched the lives of many children and youth, the Optimist Club, and being a lifelong Mason as well. So he contributed to his community. He employed people through his entrepreneurship. He certainly gave tax dollars to Saratoga County through his businesses. So we thank him for that. But most of all, I thank him for his service. And today I've brought with me a New York State Senate proclamation, pretty much, saying what everyone else had said in theirs. But I also brought him the New York State Liberty Medal. And this is not just easily gotten. It has to be passed by resolution. Some of the ones that I put in are not approved. Robert C. Shaw was approved, and it's the highest award that a New York State Senator can give. So I'm very happy to present this to you, Janet, and to Robert's family, and just thank you for his service and thank you for all he's done for the community.
Thank you, Senator. Congresswoman Elise Stefanik couldn't be here today, but she has Senate Representative Josh Williams, who has a special presentation for you.
Good afternoon. Unfortunately, Congresswoman Stefanik could not be here because of scheduled votes, but I'm happy to give a few brief remarks on her behalf. Now, the 21st District has the highest population of veterans in New York State, and that's not something to be taken lightly. It's not just a statistic, it is a responsibility. And Congresswoman Stefanik likes to take every opportunity we can to recognize the servicemen and women who reside up here, upstate New York in the North Country, in the Capital Region. I have a copy here for the family of the congressional record. Congresswoman Stefanik sometime this week will deliver remarks on the House floor, which you approached the Speaker. Madam Speaker, I rise today to honor the life of Robert C. Shaw and his courageous service with the United States Navy. And this will go on to recount, as you've heard today, his biography, both in public and private life, his endeavors in the United States Navy at a very volatile time, an uncertain time in the waters of Japan when people did not know whether the war would be ending soon. Saved countless lives through his lifeguarding service with the USS Tigrone, as well as impacting many more lives back here in Saratoga County in the Capital Region, returning as a business owner and through his community service again, such as fun in the 4-H club. There's a lot to recount in this life well lived. And again, I want to deliver this to the family. We also have a flag that has been flown over the United States Capitol building. There's a certificate of authenticity for you here. That flag, I believe, will also be flown over the Saratoga County building before it is returned to you.
Stand for the flag. Please be seated. So those that didn't hear Chaplain O'Keefe, and as mentioned, we presented you with the flag and then we took it right back. But we are going to fly that flag here when we go outside in a moment. We are going to fly that flag here at Saratoga County at the county seat for 30 days in honor of Bob Shaw, at which time we will take it down. We'll put it in a nice case and we'll get it back to your family through the supervisor's office. And I want to thank from the American Legion Post in South Glens Falls, I want to thank Pam Ostrander, the commander of the post, who was there, who took the flag and is going to raise that flag outside for helping us do that today. As mentioned, Chairman Kuznier's mentioned earlier that Saratoga County has a dedicated committee of supervisors. Not every county does it this way, but in Saratoga County, we have a dedicated committee to coordinate and support all of the efforts in my office and veterans programs and services here offered at Saratoga County. Our chairman this year is Supervisor Tom Richardson from the city of Mechanicsville. He couldn't be here today. I do have a presentation I'm going to make in a moment. But before I do that, I do want to mention other folks. I've gotten a little bit of credit for this ceremony, but the truth be told, most of the credit goes to a lot of other people. First and foremost, she couldn't be here due to an illness. Megan Cutbush in my office. Some of you folks may have spoken to Megan. Megan does most of the legwork on this, and she does a great job. And I want to thank Megan. I want to thank Paul Masso, our veteran service officer back there. Paul is the individual who meets with and serves veterans on a daily basis. Therese Conley and Bridget in the clerk of the Board of Supervisors. Our county administrator's office, and our county administrator is here. Our county attorney, our proclamations are all done through Mike Hartnett back there. I want to thank Mike for his office and his efforts in supporting this. So we don't do it alone. We have a lot of help, and it's important to recognize our veterans because we all grew up around Bob Shaw's, and today there's less and less of him in this country. And so I think our young people don't have the advantage of growing up in the shadow of a Bob Shaw. And so if we can bring him forward and remember him, then hopefully the kids of today will learn about folks like him, and they'll carry his values forward as we go on as a country. So at this time, I do have one final presentation I'd like to present, and this is a presidential memorial certificate presented to the memory of Bob Shaw, and it reads, "The United States of America honors the memory of Robert C. Shaw, This certificate is awarded by a grateful nation in recognition of devoted and selfless consecration to the service of our country and the armed forces of the United States. And that is signed Joe Biden, President of the United States. And last month, we had the pleasure of honoring a World War II veteran as well, Chris Scambati. His family's here with us as well. They're usually here every month. But his favorite part of the program was to sing Amazing Grace. And Chris isn't here with us to do it anymore, but maybe we could all do it a little bit of justice. So I'd like you all to please rise. The words are on the back of your program if you'd like to join me. And the singing of Amazing Grace. Amazing grace, how sweet the sound that saved the wretch like me. I once was lost, but now am found. Was blind, but now I see. 'Twas grace has taught my heart to fear, and grace my fears relieve. How precious did that grace appear, the hour I first believed. Through many dangers, toils, and snares, I have already come. 'Tis grace that brought me safe thus far, and grace will lead me home. Thank you all for joining in that. And once again, thank you to your family for allowing us to honor Mr. Shaw. A little bit of housekeeping. If we could just have the family come up front real quick with our elected officials, we're going to take a couple of pictures. I failed to mention Christine Rush here, our public relations coordinator. Christine helps us out quite a bit with this ceremony and getting the word out to the public. I want to thank her as well. We're going to take a quick couple of photographs. Then we're going to move outside for the flag raising portion of the ceremony. It is raining out. Is it raining? Paul's saying so. If you guys, when you go outside, just gather under the vestibule right in front of the building. You'll be on cover. We'll do our closing prayer, and we'll have a rifle salute and flag raising in honor of Mr. Shaw. Thank you. And now for our closing prayer by Honorary Chaplain Paul O'Keefe.
Be gracious unto us, O God, and bless all of us as we depart from this precious monthly deceased Saratoga County Veterans Ceremony. Stretch forth your protection and guard our country, that we, being devoted to your service, may ever be defended by your power. Amen. God bless Robert Shaw family. Our condolences. Thank you.
Details, babe. Hut. Port. Hard. Ready. Hey. Fire. 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 3, 6, hut. starboard.